Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us again for another segment of our Bella Emprendedora interviews. I'm really excited to welcome Caroline and Eliana here. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Good. How about you, Rocio?
I am good.
So
Thank you.
good.
They're from Lini, Victoria. And so we're excited to hear all about their journey and just engage with them. And we know that all of you are going to enjoy learning about them and their business and how they show up every day. And so we're just going to get started. So I'm going to have each of you just introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about who you are and your business and what is it that you do with your business. So you want to, whoever wants to get started. Caroline, you want to start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline. I am one of the co-founders of Lini Victoria. I do more of the creative part of the business. My background is in design. A little bit about me as an individual. I live in East LA. I am Brazilian American. I'm a mother to a beautiful 3.5-year-old girl who is very energetic, keeps me on my toes. And I had a very long career working in beauty and fashion, typically on the brand side. And that's where I met Eliana, my business partner, and also kind of what inspired us to start our business. Because we would work with a lot of agencies when we were working as full-time employees. So we got to learn a little bit about it. And then being on the brand side is kind of like being the client of an agency. So I think it was helpful for us to see both sides. And yeah, that's a little bit about me and why I do what I do. I think I really wanted to build something for us and for our community, for other creative Latinas as well. And for my family, I want to be able to have more control over my schedule and be able to spend time with my daughter, participate in local events, and meet like other like-minded people.
Awesome. Thank you. That's great. All right, Eliana, your turn.
Hello, my name is Eliana. I am co-founder of Lini Victoria Creative as well. As you guys heard, my partner in crime is Caroline, and she is the creative genius into our company. And I do a little bit more of the operations and business part of our company. I do like, the stuff that the not so fashion and beautiful things, but things that keep our business running and make sure like, we're getting ahead of everything. And it's been such a great ride because, Caroline and I, like she had mentioned, we have met back in like a corporate setting and, we talk about our hopes and dreams and we're just like, hey, you have like the same hopes and dreams I have. Like, let's definitely build a business where we create an opportunity for our fellow Latinas and really expand and, create a culture of like just, wanting the same goals, wanting the same things and, expanding those goals to future Latinas out there.
I love that. And I love how you're a partnership, right? I think that sometimes, and we hear this all the time in like the business world, and as people are starting to get started, it's like such a lonely space, or it can feel like a lonely space. And I'm sure you still go through that at times, but having this kind of mutual vision, like you said, this mutual goal that brings you together with your heart and your passion and your commitment, and having someone to share that with, all the hardships as well as all the joys and successes, I think is just really incredible. So a great model for even those that maybe are out there on their own and think, do I keep doing this on my own, or do I find someone to support me and like-minded person? It's something to think about for everyone that's listening to this interview right now. I'm always curious as we're doing this. Like, I always want to learn, and I know folks want to learn. We're all curious, like, about your background, right? Like, how was your childhood growing up? Did you always want to own a business? Was this something you always kind of saw yourself doing? Like, I'm just curious to learn a little bit more about your background and what it was for you growing up and kind of coming of age, if you will, into where you are now. So curious about that.
I think I grew up very specifically not wanting to be a business owner because I thought it was very like intimidating. I find anything with like money or numbers, I think I always thought like that just wasn't accessible to me. But I laugh now because I think back of so many things I did when I was a kid, and I was like a little business lady without realizing it. Like I used to make little clay sculptures and I would like sell them to people in my family. My first love, it like creatively, was fashion design, so I would make clothes for my dolls. So I think I had my little entrepreneurial spirit, and I remember thinking, I have this distinct memory of this time that I did these sketches for like some costume. And I was like, I have to go get an investor. And I was like, my uncle, he always has like suits on. And I think he'll be like, I'm going to go ask him, like he has money. Um, and I don't know how, as like a small child, like, and I don't think I even asked him because I probably got embarrassed. But I think I always had that little entrepreneurial spirit. And I didn't connect the dots on that because I think in my mind, I thought to be a business owner, you had to have like an MBA and you had to have like this very traditional finance background. I think, you know, be good at golf and drink whiskey and like all of those things. I don't know, stuff you see in the movies. It just felt like very far removed from who I was as a person. But that's why like what we do now, I think is important to me because I want to be living proof that you don't have to be a man, you don't have to be of a certain economic background. Like if you have that spirit within you and you're willing, I think, to put in the work, you can make your dreams come true.
That is so true, so inspiring. And you're right. I mean, when you say entrepreneurial spirit, I love that because my kind of mantra around that is that it really is a mindset, you know, and a lot of us have that internally in us and we don't realize it until we start putting like pen to paper, so to speak, right? And we start to like materialize, it becomes tangible for us to a certain extent. But I love how you link that back and almost like it was always going to be part of your future journey. Little did you know growing up, little Caroline was going to bloom into what you're doing now. So that's beautiful to hear. Eliana, what's your kind of background or what has been your experience?
Yeah, so I grew up in the San Fernando Valley, specifically in Pacoima in LA County. So my parents were, you know, immigrated over here, and I'm first gen Mexican American. So when you come up in a community like that, you kind of don't really even think about, oh, well, yeah, I guess I'm gonna become a doctor because like that's kind of like an American dream situation. And you know, you look at these things that are highly respected, but having like the amazing support from my parents to just tell me like, yeah, you can do that, but like, what do you want to do? And you know, I think that a lot growing up too, a lot of people have that struggle of like, well, I don't know, what do I want to do? So it was like a lot, like as I was growing up, like how Caroline, you know, was really like into the creative things. I, however, was like, yeah, that's cool. But, you know, I kind of was trying to figure out my way around like what I did like, what I didn't like. And, you know, I do remember this point in high school where I was like, man, I need to make some extra money. How do I hustle this? So I did have like kind of like a hustle mentality where I started selling cookies and like doing things to get some like side cash. And so always knowing like you needed to really work out there and make sure like you were actually like doing things that you wanted to do. And as I was going through my adolescence and like getting through college and I thought about project management, I was just like, yes, that's exactly like, that's something I want to do. And I want to be in the creative realm of things. And that's how I like organically ended up meeting Caroline, because her and I are both in like the creative realms of things. I'm just more in the technical side of everything. And so when I told my parents, like, listen, this is kind of like what I want to do. And they're like, great. Like, we don't necessarily know what that means, but like, if that's something that you know, like if that's something that you love doing and you want to keep pursuing, like we have 100% of your back to do it.
Yeah, I love that. I know. I think, you know, we've heard from people in the past that, you know, unfortunately haven't had the support that they wanted growing up. But it's beautiful to hear when, you know, parents or loved ones or caregivers do kind of give it their all in terms of encouragement. You know, they might not know or understand exactly.
Yeah.
But just the fact that they're behind you and you feel that love and care, I think definitely helps in getting started. And so kind of on that same note, how did you all even come up with the concept of Lini Victoria? Think about panini. You said Lini paninis. I'm like, Lini Victoria. It's going to help you remember. How you came up with the name? How did you come up with the concept? I'm assuming that it's evolved since even like conception phase. So can you speak a little bit more to that? And also what inspired you to make it what it is today?
For sure. Well, Lini comes from my name in Portuguese, which is Caroline. So it's just the second half of my name. That's what like my family and close friends call me. And Victoria is my middle name. So that was just kind of my name. That was my Instagram handle. I already, like as a college student, had bought that URL to use as my portfolio. So that's kind of where that came from. I don't always know if that's like the best approach to a name, but that's like the origin story of how we came up with it. And I think for a very long time, I would work full time, but I would pretty regularly get asked to do like, hey, do you do graphic design? Can you do this on the side? So I would take up like side gigs here and there. And I think I spent a lot of energy for a long time trying to get good at stuff that I am never going to be good at and I don't like doing. I was like, well, I have to figure out how to like be an operational minded person. And finally, like it clicked to me, like instead of spending 90% of my energy on the 10% thing that I'm really bad at, and like I feel like I was phoning in the creative stuff because to me it was easier. I was like, I should just get a partner that is good, like where I'm weak and I'm strong. Not that she's weak. She was saying she's not creative, but she has very beautiful spreadsheets. They're always fun to look at. I finally just reached out to her and I found myself like as her friend being like, hey, like, what do you think about this? Like when I was going over contracts with my clients and whatnot. And finally one day I was like, do you want to like do this for real? Because I think you're good where I'm not so good. And I think our skill sets really complement each other. So we kept the name. It was a name that I had already been using as like a freelancer. And then we just joined forces. We incorporated and became an LLC. I think in terms of how we've evolved, I think we're still evolving. We learned a lot of things the hard way. We actually, this month we're turning 2. Our business is turning 2. Right. Thank you.
Congrats, yeah.
So for the first year, I think we did make a lot of, I don't want to call them mistakes, but they were like learning curves. And it was definitely a little bit of a challenge, I think, to go from the mindset of being an employee to being a business owner. So I think we both support each other a lot. And I think we're both very ambitious women. So if we don't know something, I think we're willing to take the initiative to go figure it out. Like, do we have to contact the SBA and talk to an accountant? Like, who do I know in my network that like knows a lawyer? Like, can you give us some advice? And I think I'm a person that really believes like what you put out there energetically, you're going to get back. So I try to be an open door for people. However I can help somebody and pay it forward. And I think that always comes back around because I think we've been fortunate. Like our first like templates for contracts was something that like my friend gave me that he had like a lawyer make for him. And he's like, you know, you just have it, you can change it, use it, whatever. So I think we try to definitely tap into our network where we can and like champion each other and like elevate each other. And we've grown as a business now. We have like a handful of contractors. We've kind of recently been talking about some different like industries that we want to get into. I think we've been fortunate since we worked for corporate for about like a decade. We had a lot of like clients and stuff that was already built, relationships that we had, but we want to expand and be able to connect with different people and be able to, I think, have clients that support us financially so we can take on more smaller projects and passion projects as well.
Yeah, and Eliana, how was that for you coming into, you know, forming or forging this partnership? It sounds like it was both of you coming together, almost like serendipitous, as they say. I hope that's the right word I'm using, but like it was meant to happen, right? And and then the right timing. So what inspired you to also kind of take the leap of faith? Because to some extent, it's a leap of faith that
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
take, right? And so,
it's definitely a leap of faith. It's an investment. It's, you know, a lot of things, especially like Caroline was expressing, that it is a very new, you know, uncharted waters that we weren't in, and figuring out how we wanted to really like not even start the business but operate it. You know, what were the things that if we did hopefully have full-time employees, like how did we want to treat them into the business? You know, making sure that they were happy and we were happy. So when Caroline came to me with this idea, I said, okay, like let's look into it, see what it looks like. And yeah, she's pretty much like she's the talent, basically. Caroline's a talent. She's like insanely good and like so freaking talented with what she does. And we just needed to kind of figure out a way how and to navigating like clients and like making sure that we were like basically being valued for what we did and all of that good stuff. And so when she came to me with this idea and we said, let's call it Lini Victoria, and I said, okay, like, you know what, like that makes absolute sense, because why? Caroline is the talent, not only the talent, but like, you know, what she wants to bring into the business, it was exactly what I aligned with. And I'm just like, yeah, like that's it. Like, let's call it Lini Victoria, because like wanting to expand to in like the Latino Latinx generation, making sure like we're creating opportunities for those who need them, and like making sure that we're also, you know, what am I trying to say? Making sure like we're also opening those doors to the people we want and having the same mission, having the same like values. I was like, this is perfect. Like we should call it that. And so when we actually went into an LLC, we said, okay, great. Like we have all of this stuff. Now what do we do with it? And so we, you know, it was a lot of research, a lot of figuring out where we can find these resources that we didn't know we even needed. Right. Mm-hmm. So it was, you know, it was still exciting though. Don't get me wrong. Like, yes, it was a lot, but it's just like, oh, wow. Like there's actually so much that we can get with support and, you know, networking and all of these things. And it's like a learning, it's learnings. It's not mistakes. I would say it's like more like, okay, great. Like we didn't know we had these resources before, but we know we have them now. How do we want to take advantage of them and utilize them to make sure that we're, you know, paving the right direction? Mm-hmm. So basically, you know, just two females trying to make a business that really opens doors for others to really be themselves and really showcase the skill set that they have, and having that opportunity to use the resources that we have will really pave that direction forward.
Yeah, and I appreciate that so much. I think one of the things we're definitely building here at Bella is to create that network. So I think that what you're able to offer is just comes with a lot of heart, comes with a lot of experience and knowledge. And that's what we see other business owners, other women in our network are looking for, and outside of our network are really looking for that community. And so kind of speaking to that, and you've talked about it a little bit here and there about like the purpose of the purpose and the mission of your business, right? So I've noticed like everyone comes with so much passion, and it goes beyond just kind of the business side of things, if you will, right? There's always kind of this internal kind of passion, this deeper purpose. And if you could speak to that a little bit and what that is, so we can understand, that'd be great.
Sure. Our mission statement at our business is creative problem solving for all. And I think what we mean by that is part of it is we offer our services in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. The reason we do that is because we think that these services should be accessible to everybody in our community. We don't want language to be a barrier to entry. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. I think in today's world, you have to have a website, you have to have content, basically branding. These are things that I think in order for most business owners to grow and sustain their business, they need access to this type of work. So we wanted to make that accessible for everybody. And something that I'm extremely passionate about, and we're really passionate about it in our business, is I think walking the walk and not just talking the talk. I think there's been a huge trend of like really big businesses capitalizing on like Latinx Heritage Month and Hispanic Heritage. I'm going to use Netflix as an example. They're happy, I think, to market that. But then if you go to stream a movie, do they even have the audio available in Spanish? Do they have it available in Portuguese? I think Latinos are a huge economic driver in this country. We're not going anywhere. We are, you know, we're part of the American fabric. Portuguese and Spanish are very commonly spoken languages. Spanish is the second most commonly spoken language. So why is a company like Netflix happy to take a paycheck from my grandparents or my parents, but then they can't enjoy a movie in their native language? And we don't think that that's okay. And, you know, they're seeing a profit on that. And I think coming from cosmetics and coming from the beauty industry, it was frustrating to see, like, sure, we could run a campaign, we could hire a Latina model and kind of say like, oh, you know, like beauty for everybody. But at the end of the day, when that product sells, like who's cashing those checks? Like it wasn't us, it wasn't our community. It was, you know, the stakeholders and the people that were in charge of these large corporations. So for us, all of our contractors are also Latina as well. And that's something that we hope to maintain as we grow, because I think that that's what matters. Like, I think it's one thing to say, you know, we want to create equity for everybody, we want to be for everybody, but the reality of life is you need money to survive, you need money to grow, and we want the work that we do to pay bills for people in our community. We want for people in our community, children of immigrants like us, to know that there is a different way to have a creative profession, and like you can have a life around your talents and around your passion, and there's space for all of us. And I think after watching that not happen in our career, you know, seeing that like you'll take Latino dollars, but you're not employing us. And if you're employing us at levels where we're not actually decision makers. Like, I don't think I've ever worked at any company where, you know, a C-level employee was a Latino, like, or a Latina, even less often. So that's what our mission is. I think it's, like you said, there's a lot of heart and there's a lot of passion. And I think that I wish that money wasn't even a factor, because I just want to have fun and make jobs and everybody have like a great time. But we have to be realistic. And how can I take the talents that I feel that I was blessed with and the talents my business partner was blessed with and build a business that generates revenue and creates jobs and is actually doing what we say we're doing. One of our first clients was some friends I grew up with in Miami. I'm originally from Florida, and their family was Venezuelan, and their family owned the oldest record recording label in Venezuela, and they didn't have a website. And that was something that, like, my friend who was the granddaughter of the owner was like, you know, my family's reluctant to do this. They know they have to get online, but they don't know how to do it. So we built the website for them in English and Spanish. And that was something that was really important to us, because sure, like, our client who was our age spoke English, we could communicate with her. But we wanted her parents to feel like they could participate in the process. We wanted her parents' friends, when they said, oh, we have a new website, we wanted them to be able to visit that website and enjoy that website just like anybody else. So that's part of our mission. I think as a community, Latinos have the unique immigration factor, which is different from a lot of other communities of color, because I think there's a lot of fear in our decision-making culturally. I think, Rocio, you said something important, that it's not so common to have our parents support. And I don't think that's to say that our families don't love each other and we don't support each other, but I think it's coming from fear. So if you think, you know, I don't want my child to go hungry, so I need to encourage them to pursue a job where they're going to be safe. I need to encourage them to pursue education in something stable. To me, it's so important that our business grows, because we want to be proof that it is possible. You can pursue your passions just like any other community. We have a voice as well. Our work is valid as well. And I think it's time for us to take back the dollars that our image is generating. Like, I think people want to eat our foods. People want to showcase our colors. They want to listen to our music. But like, who gets the check at the end of the day?
Right.
Even things like, I could talk about this all day, but like Vallarta, for example, that's not even a Latino-owned supermarket. So like, they'll take our dollars, but do we see those dollars come back to us? And I think, unfortunately, not enough. And there's proof in that Latinas, by the dollar, we're the lowest paid segment. And I hope in one small way that our business is kind of counteracting that as much as we can. So we pay our contractors above market wage. We want to give them raises. We want to treat them to lunch when we can, because I think we deserve it. We deserve the best. And I think in order for our clients to get the best of us, we all have to be happy and we have to feel like we're being treated fairly.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, Caroline, is so profound. And you said it just so beautifully, the way that you illustrated that. And I think, you know, we encounter these challenges and sometimes these identity challenges, right? When we're, and I know I myself have gone through this as well, where there's just so much in our capitalistic society around who we are, who we should be, what we should view ourselves as, what we shouldn't, where is there opportunity, where is there not opportunity? And really, it's about taking that collective power and giving it back to ourselves, right? We earned it. You know, our parents have come to this country and learned how to kind of go through what they had to survive, to your point, and to give us an opportunity to do better or to do what we want to do, you know. So I think all of that is really important, and I love how you're sharing that, because, and I get like chills when I hear, you know, I'm hearing you speak, and I get these chills, but it resonates so profoundly with me and deep in my spirit, and I know that others that are listening, it also hits. So just want to encourage everyone that's listening to kind of, I wish we could like bottle up Caroline's message and spirit and take it along with us. But I know we're not alone in feeling this way. And I know that what you're saying really hit home for a lot of people. So thank you for being so open about it and sharing your perspective on that. And the fact that your business is so connected to that, I agree with you about, we got to look at holistically, right? And we don't always do that consciously. And it's not that it's our fault that we don't, but sometimes we really need to think about, what is that deeper sense of purpose I have for my business? It's about me. It is about my family, of course. But when I say it's about community, what does that really mean? And again, I think you just described that so beautifully. And so for both of you, the questions is around any challenges. Want to think about some of the challenges that you may have encountered either recently or at the start of the business. Just so folks can hear too, and those that are listening to right now could be going through some of the challenges that you're about to share. But maybe one example of a challenge that you've gone through or are going through, and kind of like, what steps did you take to get through it, or kind of manage it, or, you know, that kind of thing. So.
I think our biggest challenge, I'm going to just say, is bureaucracy. I think especially in the state of California, I feel like every time I think we paid a fee, there's like another fee and another form to fill out and like another thing we have to register. So cutting through all the red tape is definitely very challenging. I think information about all of it is overwhelming. Like if you Google, I need that tax, whatever, there's free resources for honestly everything. But if you Google it, you're going to find like a million things that are, you have to pay for it. And it is confusing, I think, for business owners, especially if you're maybe not super familiar with like using the internet and some of these things. It's difficult to tell, like, can I trust this lawyer? Can I trust this accountant? Do I actually, like, is this a fee that I do pay the state of California? Is this not a fee? So that's super challenging. We definitely don't always get it right. I think last year we had to pay a fine because we paid like the LLC thing late because we didn't know that it had a deadline. So the best way, I think, to overcome those challenges is just don't be afraid to ask for help. And also, like, know that it happens to all of us. Like, nobody has their stuff together as much as I think any of us want to. And you make a mistake and next time you won't. This year, I'll tell you right now, we paid it very early because we did not want to pay that fine again. So sometimes you learn stuff the hard way, but then the next time you come back stronger.
And you share that knowledge, right? I think that's what's important too, and what we're doing here. It's like, how do you help others who are on the rise or are coming up, like, say, hey, this is the experience I had. Watch out for these signals, or watch out for these things too. And that helps elevate each other and empower each other. Eliana, what about you in terms of challenges?
I would say that one of the biggest challenges for us would be, I think, people trying to intimidate you a little bit. And by that, I mean, you know, there's a lot of, you know, large corporations out there that do need services from small businesses, and, you know, everything is great and the services are being rendered. And towards the end of a contract, you know, there's a dispute, and, you know, those corporations can very much, you know, trying to intimidate you into feeling incorrect, or feeling like, you know, you didn't do the work based on the value. That was a challenge for us because we thought, you know, okay, great, like, you know, everything is spick and span, we know what we're doing, we wrote everything out, and towards a couple of these roadblocks, you see, oh wow, like, they're really challenging us and really trying to intimidate us to step down. And the biggest advice that we got is just like, don't step up and challenge them back, because if you allow that to happen, and not saying that you allow it to happen in that sense, it's more like you don't know what to do, because you're going against these giants, and they're really try to stomp on you, and really, and that's why when anyone wants to create an LLC or any sort of business, definitely try and find those free resources like the SBA, and they definitely have those resources for you to make sure that you do have footing to some footing to really step up and go against these people, because there's going to definitely be some people out there that don't want to see you succeed, and really will try and challenge you into really succumbing into that pressure and that intimidation. And we were really lucky to have people in our corner and tell us like, no, like, stomp back, because at the end of it, it's your guys' business, and you guys definitely want to see yourselves thrive, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
That's such strong advice. I think really powerful, and you're right. I think a lot of folks encounter that in their journey, and shy away from certain things or don't try new things because of it. So thank you for sharing that. And as we kind of wind down and close down our interview with you all, which I'm sad to say because I want to keep chatting, but I know that, we got to get back to business, as they say, and back to family as well. I'll combine the last two questions I had around like advice. What are your like words of wisdom or advice that you would give Latina entrepreneurs that are either just starting out or even thinking about, starting a business? What words of wisdom would you give?
I think one of the best pieces of advice I can give, and something that was difficult for me to wrap my head around, but conflicting information can both be true. And I say that because it can be true that our family wants what's best for us, but it can also be true that they hold us back. It can be true that there are risks, but it can also be true that it's possible. And I think for a lot of us, we're so close with our family. A lot of people live in multi-generational households. These are things that are very common in the community. I think we can honor that. We can honor the stories of our families, but also it's okay to seek outside information. I think if you happen to live in a city like LA, you have access to all different types of cultures in a community. You're not betraying your culture and your community by seeking different types of information. I love my mom. Is my mom somebody I'm going to call for business advice? No. And it's not because she has any ill intention. My mother's amazing, but I honor her experience as an immigrant to this country. But that doesn't mean that like I have to go to my family for everything. And I don't mean that to come across as like everybody stop talking to your families. That's not what I mean. I think it's very complicated when the people who love you the most feel like maybe they're not rooting for you, but they're really just coming from a place of fear. And it's okay to say like, I respect where you're coming from. I respect your fear. I honor your fear and your experience, but I can be the one to break the generational trauma. I can be the one to be the first in my family to graduate, the first in my family to be a business owner. It's possible for all of us. And you're not betraying your identity or your culture, I think, by wanting to have a better life.
Yeah, thank you for that. That is so true. Thank you for sharing that. Eliana, any final words of wisdom or advice that you would give?
The advice I would love to give people is, just to truly stay true to yourself. There's going to be people that will want to mold you a certain way and say this is how you have to do things, when in reality, like, people like you for who you are. They love the skill set you have, the talent you can give. So it's always important to stay true to that and not lose sight of that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Honor yourself, honor your journey. I love it. I love it all. It's been such a pleasure to get to know both of you and your story, and opening the door to us to discover and uncover your experiences. So I really appreciate your time. I know those listening have walked away super inspired like I have. And I celebrate you both and the work that you're doing and your purpose. And we invite everyone that's listening to follow them on Instagram. We are actually going to have it on our website. You'll be able to look down below and get the handle for their Instagram and their website and everything. So thank you everybody for listening. And thank you so much, Caroline and Eliana, for all of your sharing your beautiful talents with the world. So thank you so much.
I wanted to say one more final little thing. If anybody listening to this ever needs us as a resource, you want somebody to look at your resume, you want somebody to review your portfolio, whatever it is that we can help you, give you a job recommendation, please DM us. Like, we really do believe in paying it forward. We're always looking for new talent. If you're interested in design, please connect with us. We want to like see everybody thrive, and we want to champion Latino creatives forever.
I love that. Thank you so much, Caroline. I'm sure you're going to get lots of calls now, so be ready.
I'm ready.
All right. Thank you all.
See you.
Thank you so much. Bye.